Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 14th day of September, 2021. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. It also gives you access to the chat box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, on the days you're out of the office away from your desktop, not to worry, just point any internet connected browser to cfrn.net/live, and there you'll find a live real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. You just won't have access to the chat box. We also stream live each day during this broadcast on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we stream live each and every day on YouTube, but we archive each and every daily show. Currently, there are over 1,800 daily live broadcasts archived there for your educational and viewing pleasure. Let's open with a word of prayer, as we do. Specifically, I want to pray for the women in our lives, the wives, the mothers, the daughters. We know what's happening in Afghanistan. We know how that culture treats women. There was a little good news yesterday that they were going to still allow women to go to university, but of course attend segregated classes. No discussion of if they'll be allowed to do anything with their education once they've gone to school. Perhaps this is just something for the world to see as a positive coming out of the trauma that goes on there. And it's not just in Afghanistan, but even in our own country here in the United States. There's a pandemic of missing children. You should Google it sometime. From sex trafficking to all other kinds of reasons. So many missing. So many parents who aren't able to concentrate on life, sleep in peace, or eat a meal because they don't know the whereabouts of their children or what has happened. As a Christian, we can only pray and reflect on the verses from the Bible as we place our trust and hopes in God to shelter our children wherever they go and whatever they do. Genesis 28:15 says, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Heavenly Father, We thank you for your blessings, for your mercy, and for your grace. You're an awesome and mighty God. And today we bring our young women before you, asking that you send your angels to cover them and to walk with them each and every day. God, our daughters are such precious, gifted treasures from you. Preserve and bless them as they travel in this cruel world. Help them, Lord, in an ever-changing world, a world so filled with all kinds of dangers, impurities, evil, lust, lewdness of flesh. In their growing age, help them to respect their own bodies as the temple of the Holy Spirit. Help them to recognize the voice of evil and to conquer it with strength, courage, truth, and obedience to you, God. Surround them with godly friends. When they are weak, let their friends be strong and build them up. Protect them with your angels. Safeguard them and help them discern right from wrong and good from evil. Let them stand on your spiritual shoulders and bravely serve your purpose in all their endeavors. Lord, we pray today that you protect our daughters, nieces, aunts, mothers, and grandmothers from all evil and harm. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. Happy Tuesday. Hope it's a happy Tuesday for you, wherever you are. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. These are the cash markets, the indices as they're called. As soon as my data loads. There we go. The Dow currently down 154 points. The NASDAQ up 36. S&P 500 down 4. And the Russell 2000 down 10.5. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 12 cents, trading 70.57 last. Gold up $13.80, trading 18.0820 last. Silver up 6 cents, trading 23.86 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 222 points. The Shanghai fell 52. The Hang Seng dropped 311. Now for the Shanghai, that's a drop of 1.5%, and for the Hang Seng, it's a drop of 1.25%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 34, DAX up 21, and the CAC down 23. That gives us a mixed day in Asia. It was a mixed day in the UK. And with the NASDAQ being the only index in the green, it is a mixed Radio Tuesday here in the US of A. So with that, we'll go to Michael and get a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll come back and we'll take a look at the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and at any point during this broadcast, if you have a question, just type it into the chat box and we'll be happy to answer it for you. Michael, it's all yours.
All right, here we go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, the 14th day of September, 2021. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the home page here. Well, go to this page at eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading channel so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? If you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial, so you gotta make sure you click on that link. All right? All right. Now, let's get into the spreadsheet. If you're gonna read the spreadsheet, you gotta read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, felt good again today. Nothing went wrong right at the beginning of the morning session. It's the first time in 3 days that that's happened. Anyway, today is the 14th day of September, 2021. Today we made 5 ticks in crude, 17 ticks in gold, and 18 ticks on the ES. Put us at plus 445 on the morning session. Today it took 4 minutes and one trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 18 trades this morning. Okay, I don't remember if I said this, but if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, well, as of today, on the month now, we're up $3,485 a contract. That's over 9 trading days, averaging $387 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year now, we're at 174 out of 177 days we've gotten our goal, and that puts us at $103,487 a contract. That's over 177 trading days, averaging $584 per contract per 2-hour trading day. All right, now if you were to stop when you got your goal for the day, every single day so far this year, and added 1 contract per month, you would have traded a total of 50.33 hours and 558 trades, and your average hourly earning would be $2,440 per hour. That's not per contract, that is per hour, because right now you'd be at 9 contracts. And so this morning, it took whatever it took, 4 minutes, 1 trade to make $900 at 9 contracts. Right, so since this is the 2420 blueprint, basically what I'm going to do is just continue this on through the year and into next year until we get to 24. So that'll be all the way through next year. So this number is going to be enormous by the time we get up to, a larger number of contracts. So once you get up to 12 contracts, that 4 minutes with 12 contracts on would be $1,200 in 4 minutes. So those numbers are just going to be really big. Maybe I'll just start over again at the beginning of the year next year. I don't know. But that's just keeping track of this. I'll be keeping track of this the way that I always do. But anyway, let's get into the trades. All right, so let's start out with the ES today. All right, now we had a few trades here on the ES. I'm scrolling back. Here we go. We started out in the weekly trading zone right here. Well, it was a little above it, but going into the zone, and got kind of sideways up until the approach at the top of the hour. Our first trade here on the ES, we picked up 8 ticks. We missed this short right here. I think, did we miss it on purpose? Yeah, because we hadn't broken dynamic support yet. But we missed that short right there, and then we took the next one right here. That one we picked up a couple of ticks to put us at plus 10. Missed a trade here. We were looking for it to get down to this level, which it did do. Then it turned around and started going back up. On this trade right here, we picked up 8 ticks to put us at plus 18. Then I was looking for an opportunity to get short, and there was one right here. I don't know what happened right in here, why I didn't take that, but it was a bounce off the BBC right there for that leg down. And then we got over here, and it looks like I was looking for it to get up above this level, and it did just barely, and then it came back down and didn't give any more on the upside there, at least not at that point. Then I was looking for it to get all the way down here to 1442. Gave a short here that I missed, another one here that I took a break even on. Then we got in this little bit of a bugle range right here that it needed to break out of, which it did right down here. It got down to my 1442 number. Once it broke out of that area right there. Was there a trade on the way down? Yeah, I guess you could argue there was a trade right in here. Let me draw a trend line. I don't know why I didn't do this morning. Well, yeah, I do, because I wasn't sitting there at that time. Right here, this was a YBR short, as well as a bounce. It wasn't a bounce off the BBC, it was a trend line. It did hit the BBC, but the cycle was the wrong color, so it became a trend line trade. Put that leg down right in there. Then we got a little bit sideways, took a couple more break-even trades in here. I missed one right there that would have given some profit. I ended up with a break-even on that, and another break-even on that. And that was where we ended the trading for the morning session. Now, I didn't really have an idea where this should go at the end of the morning session, so I didn't give anything as far as where it should go during the break. And it looks like that was probably the thing to do, because it didn't really give any direction during the break either. Okay, so gold. Now I'm looking for gold to actually move up to 1840, 1845. But at the break, I was saying during the break, it looks like it's pulling back a little bit. This was a head, this was a shoulder, this was the other shoulder, this was going to be the neckline, and this is where it should go once it breaks the neckline. I said that back here at the break. Actually, it was right here at the break, when it was starting to do this stuff right here. So it did give a shorting opportunity right there, followed up with another one right here. And then it got all messed up here, and it has gone down to this level that I'd outlined in the morning session. For those of you guys who were in the morning session, I'd outlined this as to where it might go during the break. And I'm looking for it to get all the way up to 1840. Okay. So if I have a bias on this, it's going to be to the upside. No, I just trade what's in front of me based on the trends that I see. But if I have a bias, it's going to be to the upside. And crude oil, let's get into the crude a little bit now. See the crude, I have a level down here that I think it's going to get to. And I've been saying that all morning, and it didn't get all the way down there. But it did get pretty close. And the day's not over yet. Okay, so we started out with crude right here with a short. This was a pullback area, so we'll pull back to that and then made a nice run down. We got a break even on this short, so I didn't follow up with this one. There was an opportunity to trade right here that I didn't do, that I missed for whatever reason. Then right in here, I had stepped away, and Bert was actually going over this right here about looking left and seeing whether you're going to find some support down here and how to draw this trend line. We did have a bounce off the BBC there that probably would have been a break-even trade had I taken it. It did move down and go through these levels down here. Now, I was looking for crude to get all the way down here. I still am looking for crude to get all the way down there. And I'll show you why. All right, if we look here on the 30-minute, this morning at 9:30 in here, I was looking at all this space right here. You know, from the bottom of this bar all the way down to there was a lot of empty space that it should not have hung up in. And it did end up getting hung up. It made a good run down to here. It didn't get all the way down to here, which is where I thought it was going to go. But it hung up kind of in here. And then it came back up. It hit the BBC. It failed off the BBC. It's come back up and hitting it again. So right now, I would expect it to get back down here to 70.40. All right. Now, that's the larger picture stuff. But in crude anyway, in this trade right here, we picked up 5 ticks, and it looks like we only had a couple of trades in crude. We had the one break even and the one right there +5. During the break, this is what I was looking for on the downside. It didn't end up giving that. It gave a little bit of a long trade right here off the BBC. Would have been a break-even trade. This level right here is what I was looking for it to get up to if it was going to go up. Right there, and it did get up to that already, giving you this break-even trade. So what I would expect right now is for it to fail, turn down, and get down here to this level. It's 70.40, 70.39, right in that area. Okay, so that's my take on the markets, and what we did and didn't do, and what we saw and didn't see. So if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 14th day of September, 2021. We made 5 ticks in crude, 17 ticks in gold, and 18 ticks on the ES. Put us at +445 on the morning session. Today it took 4 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 18 trades. So on the month now, we're at $3,485 a contract. That's over 9 trading days, averaging $387 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We've gotten our goal for the day on 174 out of 177 possible days so far this year. And that puts us at $103,487.
Freedom of
So 177 trading days, averaging $584 per contract per 2-hour trading day. If you'd have quit every time you got your goal for the day and added 1 contract per month, you would have only traded so far this year 50 hours. And you would have been averaging $2,440 per hour trading. Now, keep in mind that you don't actually trade a full hour most of the time. You trade just a couple of minutes most of the time. All right. So if you've not taken a free trial and you want to, go here to eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, just scroll down to right here where all we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading channel so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Then hit the send button. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? If you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial, so you're going to make sure you click on that link. All right? All right, and with that, we'll pass it back out. Studio A, fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Excellent.
There we go. Recap of the recap.
There it is. Today it took 4 minutes and 1 trade to get to $100 per contract.
Good job, as
you.
always.
you.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Take a look at the logic numbers, then we'll take a look at a couple of headlines. The big news, of course, I think today, well, there's lots of big news every day nowadays, but this recall in California, Biden is out on the stump, as they say. This recall election to remove Governor Newsom from his post looked pretty strongly going in that they were going to recall him, and now maybe not so much, and all eyes are on California. So anyway, pray for California. Good Lord. Week 163 of Logic 247. Logic 247 is our around-the-clock 24/7 E-mini alert service. The channel opens for business Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern and remains open round the clock till Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. The criteria for alert is simply opportunity. When opportunity presents itself, an alert goes out. Could be 2 a.m., could be 2 p.m. We have traders around the globe. So far this week, since Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 32 alerts. 4 never triggered, still waiting on the outcome of 6. We've had 22 actionable alerts, of which 5, or 23%, would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible using market structure in a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our traders. Now, the logic alerts are based on current price action. Our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts, have a little different format. They come out as a static report shortly after the Globex Open each evening. So today we know this is the Tuesday session. That ends this afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, that begins the Wednesday session, even though it's still Tuesday night here in the U.S. The global markets are opening, Asia and London. So the Wednesday session begins tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, just as last night, the Tuesday session began at 6 p.m. Eastern. And so this report comes out usually for the most part in the first hour after the open. And the way you handle these numbers, which are good for the entire session, is you draw a line in the sand, in this case at 44.74, and another line in the sand at 44.47. Once this report is published, if price starts trending up towards 44.74, that would be bullish, and so our strategy will look for opportunities to buy the market or to get long. You also would use everything that you learn each day in the live training room to find opportunities to buy the market and get long. If price starts trending down towards 44.47, that's bearish. So again, our strategy will look for opportunities to sell the market, and you will use the things you've learned in the live training room to yourself find opportunities to get short and get your goal for the day. So if you want a screenshot, because we're going to go through these market by market here in just a few minutes. So if you want a screenshot, go ahead and grab it. Okay. And we'll take a peek at a couple of those headlines. Start out with the tech stuff today. What do we got happening? Apple warns users to update their iPhones, their Macs, and their Apple Watches after fixing a major spyware flaw. The company released an emergency update after learning of a vulnerability that allowed an Israeli spyware company to remotely infect Apple devices without you having to click anything. That's pretty scary. Normally, you know, you get infected because you click a link on a website or you click some kind of link in an email. And now, these days, in text messages, when everyone, please hear me, when you get a text message that says, now, I'm an AT&T customer, and someone can figure out I'm an AT&T customer by just, you can go to certain websites and type in a phone number, and it will tell you which carrier carries that number. So someone can send me a text message that says, this free message is from AT&T. We appreciate you as a valued customer and have a special bonus for you. Just click here. Oh man, does that look legitimate? Don't click it. Bad things will happen. Okay? So we've learned the hard way about email. We've learned the hard way about clicking any kind of suspicious link on our computers. But now they're really hitting the text messages. So if you, and another big one is you've got a package from UPS or you've got a package from FedEx, and you know, click here so the delivery driver can find you. Well, who doesn't want to get a present or a package, you know, right? Don't click it. Bad things will happen. However, what we're talking about right now is something that infects you without you having to click anything. So you got to update. Apple is warning users to update their devices as soon as possible. So you just go to settings, go to software update, click it. There should be an update waiting for you there. The company released emergency software updates in iOS 14.8 after learning of a vulnerability that let hackers break into Apple devices without users even clicking a link. Apple is aware of a report that this issue may have been actively exploited. The Citizen Lab, which is a Canadian research group, published a report Monday saying it had uncovered a zero-day, zero-click exploit. The lab says the flaw allowed the Israeli spyware company NSO Group to remotely infect Apple devices. Because users don't even have to click a link for the spyware to start working, you will never know that your device has been infected. After identifying the vulnerability used by this exploit for iMessage, that's your text messages, Apple rapidly developed and deployed a fix in iOS 14.8. So if you're running an Apple device, you need to upgrade to iOS 14.8. Now, if you have an older device that won't upgrade that high, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do. Perhaps you should get on to customer support with Apple and ask them, and they're probably going to tell you you got to go buy a newer device. The spyware can record texts, emails, and phone calls and share them with NSO Group's government clients worldwide. It can also turn on the device's camera and microphone. That's a little bit scary. So, Facebook has a system that grants elite users immunity from its content rules. Nicknamed XCheck, the program has protected Donald Trump, Doug the Pug, and other influential figures from being reprimanded for breaking the rules. I'm not sure how this works. Let's see if we can find out. Facebook has a secret internal system that exempts 5.8 million users from having to follow the rules on its platform. Now, this is from the Wall Street Journal. The paper on Monday published an investigation detailing how high-profile users on its services who are newsworthy, influential, or popular, or, in quotes, PR risky, don't see the same enforcement action as do ordinary users. A former Facebook employee said in a memo that the company routinely makes exceptions for powerful actors, per the Wall Street Journal. Figures like former President Donald Trump, Elizabeth Warren, and even Doug the Pug, I have to admit I don't know Doug, are covered by the system nicknamed XCheck or CrossCheck. The system was created in response to the shortcomings of Facebook's dual human and AI moderation processes. We talked last week about the folks who worked for Facebook and who many have suffered nervous breakdowns or have developed post-traumatic stress syndrome because of all of the horrific images they have to look at every day and delete and delete and delete. Tough job. I would not want it. Tim in the chat box offers a suggestion. When you're on your computer, if you hover your mouse over the sender of the email, it will show you the email it was sent from without having to open it. That's very good advice, Tim. That's very easy to do on a computer, and you should always do that. Even if it looks like it's from somebody like Aunt Ethel, right? Because it's very easy to make it look like it came from Aunt Ethel when it really didn't. But Tim's right. If you just hover your mouse and look in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, it might say from Aunt Ethel, but if you hover over it, as Tim suggests, and look in the lower left corner of your screen, it will show you where it really came from. Fortunately, with text messages on your phone, there's no way to overcome that. You click it and then you go buy a new phone. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Crypto's cool kids are flocking to a social club that costs $8,000 to join. Friends with Benefits is a Discord channel with over 1,200 members, and it just landed a $100 million valuation from Andreessen Horowitz and other top VCs. Now, why are VCs and crypto enthusiasts alike rushing to get in on this particular action? See if I can get past the paywall. Nope, sorry, you'll have to Google that one up on your own. It's a Discord channel called Friends with Benefits, and Crypto School Kids are paying $8 grand to join this social club. So if you Google it, I'm sure you can find something that lets you pass the paywall to see why folks are willing to pay $8 grand to join, and why Andreessen Horowitz, one of the biggest VCs out there, has given them a $100 million valuation. They only have 1,200 members who paid $8 grand a piece. So 1,235 people times $8 grand. That can't be right. Let's try it again. 8,000 times 1,235. I refuse to do math in my head on a Tuesday. Equals $9,880,000. Okay. Well, 8,000 times 1,200. All right. The calculator says it's 9.8 million, but they've got a valuation of 100 million. I'm going to have to check that out. I'm not going to join, but I'm going to learn more about it. Apple's California streaming event starts at 1 p.m. Eastern today. Apple is rumored to be announcing the iPhone 13, the Apple Watch 7, and more new products. So if you're an Apple fanboy or fangirl, just Google California streaming and you'll be able to find a link that lets you see the event live in real time, which will be starting here in about 25 minutes or so. The prominent Facebook AI researcher who was at the center of its misinformation scandals has left the company. Joaquin Candela, who most recently led Facebook's responsible AI team, announced his departure on LinkedIn. And they're not going to tell me why he left, but that's another big deal. Oh, and the next headline here: Uber Eats, Grubhub, and DoorDash are suing New York City. The companies are suing the city for capping the fees they can charge restaurants, which they say could raise prices for customers and reduce earnings for delivery drivers. But there's another headline that I don't have in front of me. There's now like an annual, let me just pull this up. I don't know if you use DoorDash, but they have like an unlimited delivery. You pay one money and you get unlimited delivery. DoorDash, unlimited. Oh yeah, and that reminds me, I need to get the quiet keyboard. Unlimited delivery. Oh, the Dash Pass, it's called. Let's check it out. Dash Pass is a subscription service that offers unlimited deliveries from thousands of restaurants with zero delivery fee. Save an average of $4 to $5 per order with zero delivery fee and reduced service fees on all eligible orders. Look for the Dash Pass logo to order from restaurants, grocery stores, and convenience stores near you. You can get a free trial, cancel any time. It says you got to sign in to learn more. So let me do it this way. Cost of Dash Pass, $9.99 a month. Wow. If you order more than twice a month and use the DoorDash services, now DoorDash will bring you anything. They'll go to Wendy's, they'll go to Burger King, they'll go to the grocery store, they'll go to the convenience store. You get it all unlimited for $9.99 a month. That's a pretty good deal. And I'm just curious if they're going to be able to keep that up. And Dell, good job, Dell. Dell is the first one to update his iPhone. Everybody should be doing that right away. The Google manager recommended the company fire 7 temporary workers rather than give them benefits. Google ultimately only fired one of the workers with 3 months' pay and hired the rest to full-time positions. This is apparently a big deal. You can Google it for more information. Speaking of subscriptions, Taco Bell is testing a new taco subscription. The company announced a 30-day test run of a subscription that would give customers unlimited tacos for $5. Wait a minute. Okay, I can get unlimited tacos from Taco Bell for $5, and if I have the DoorDash Pass, I can get it delivered to me free. Okay, this isn't the early days of the internet. Companies have to be able to make a profit to stay in business. Oh, wait, it looks like this test is in Arizona only. I did not know that. Taco Bell is testing a new 30-day taco subscription, the chain announced yesterday. Any customer who can get their hands on one of the Taco Lovers passes, which run anywhere from $5 to $10 depending on location, is eligible for a free taco daily for 30 days. Okay, all right. So that's not really unlimited tacos, but if you like tacos, I mean a taco a day, I don't know, their tacos aren't very expensive. Were they $1? Maybe $2? But if you got one a day, that'd be $60 of value for a cost of $5 to $10. To cash in on your taco, head to Taco Bell's app, where you can order a crunchy taco, spicy potato soft taco, a crunchy supreme taco, a Doritos Locos taco, or supreme, according to the press release. The trial went live on September 9th at 17 participating locations in Tucson, Arizona. The test will continue through November 24th. Other chains have tested out subscriptions in a way to keep regular customers coming in and spending money in what some experts have dubbed the subscription economy. Restaurants are following the success of subscription models from Netflix and Amazon in the subscription sales industry, which is projected to hit $263 billion, that's B as in billion, by 2025. Panera launched a daily coffee subscription for $9 a month in 2020. The next big thing, subscriptions. I guess it's already here. Cisco is scrambling to pivot to software. With its current business model under threat, experts say Cisco will need to pivot to software if it wants to survive, and that it is running out of time to do so. And Amazon Web Services partners worry it's pushing out the small firms that helped it rise. As I've said on the show before, 70 to 75% of all web traffic passes through an Amazon web server at some point on its journey. When I send you an email, it doesn't go from my desktop straight to your desktop. It goes through all kinds of journeys and places, pinging around until it finds its way to your desktop. As Amazon Web Services has grown into a massive $59 billion business, its smallest allies are saying its ecosystem has become harder and harder to thrive in. And they're going to get squeezed out. Yep. Sort of like the small businesses that get squeezed out when a Walmart comes to town. Now, we've heard of Walmart coming to a small town and destroying the small mom and pop businesses. But there's a flip side to that coin. If Walmart decides to open one of their warehouses in a small town, it can completely change the face of that town. Same thing when Google opens a data center. Let's say you have a town, a small town, with a population of 8 to 10,000 people. I grew up in a small town in Georgia with a population of 8,000, and it's still got a population of about 8,000. But if they were to open an Amazon warehouse there, that would create about 5,000 jobs on average. Think about what that does to that economy. You've only got 8 to 10,000 people in the city, and all of a sudden, bang, 5,000 jobs, which come with some pretty good benefits. We mentioned this on the show last week. Even if you're a part-time employee and you just started yesterday, you qualify as an Amazon employee for full tuition, college, all costs, your textbooks, your pencils, the paper to write on, everything. What a great deal. So for all the gripes and complaints and whatnot that people have with Amazon, apparently it is doing some good out there in the world, providing jobs, providing education. We pray also today for the folks in the path of this Hurricane Nicholas. It's coming real close to Houston, I think. Parts of Texas and southwestern Louisiana have braced for 6 to 12 inches of rain, with isolated areas expected to get up to 20 inches. The top sustained winds of 70 miles an hour. So God, we pray for those people who are in the path of that storm. We pray for their safety. We just pray that your spirit be there. It was you who stood up in the boat and said, "Peace, be still." President Biden yesterday made a last-minute appeal to California voters to back Governor Gavin Newsom in the state's Tuesday recall election. Biden praised Newsom and called leading Republican candidate Larry Elder the clone of Donald Trump. Biden said the election could determine the nation's direction on issues that were at the center of his 2020 election victory over Trump, such as the pandemic, reproductive rights, and the fight against climate change. The eyes of the world are on California, Biden said. Voters will be asked whether Newsom should be recalled, and if so, who should replace him. The latest polls show Newsom is favored to keep his job. Now, a website backed by Larry Elder the top running candidate to replace him, is already claiming fraud, which will result in a Newsom win. Back on Sunday, people were trying to vote, I guess, online or however they do it in California, and they were being told, you can't vote, you've already cast your vote. But I don't see that in the news today. House Democrats yesterday unveiled details on the tax increases they are proposing to impose on corporations, investors, and high-earning business owners to help pay for their $3.5 trillion spending plan. The proposal would increase the corporate tax rate to 26.5% from the current 21%. It would also add a 3 percentage point surtax for people making more than $5 million a year. It additionally would hike capital gains taxes while leaving out changes to taxation at death that the Biden administration wants. The proposals would raise more than $2 trillion to help cover the spending legislation's expansion of Medicare and other social safety net programs and measures to fight climate change. Democrats plan a committee vote on the plan this week. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is still defending Biden's handling of the Afghanistan withdrawal. He says that Biden inherited a looming disaster from former President Donald Trump. He says we inherited a deadline, which they extended, right, giving them plenty of time to get it right. But Blinken says we inherited a deadline, but we did not inherit a plan. Well, you're the commander-in-chief. I think you're supposed to come up with the plan. Experts argue that general population does not need COVID booster shots. The Capitol Police arrested a man found with knives near the DNC headquarters. Now, the folks at the DNC headquarters are probably heavily armed, the security guards, I would think, and so we all know that you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Texas judge bars anti-abortion group from suing Planned Parenthood. Most Americans support the Biden vaccine mandate. I'm surprised. But so many people have no choice, so does that mean you support it if you're forced to take it? 58% of participants said in a new Politico survey that they support the White House's latest vaccination mandate for companies with more than 100 employees. The supporters said President Biden's recently unveiled vaccine policy, which is part of a multi-pronged plan to fight the pandemic, will reduce COVID-19 infection rates and increase vaccination. Now, remember, that was one of Biden's promises on the campaign trail, that he was going to crush COVID-19. Former President Donald Trump sharply criticized former President George W. Bush for saying his 9/11 commemoration speech over the weekend that international and domestic terrorists and violent extremists are children of the same foul spirit. Both, he suggested, pose significant threats to the United States despite their contrasting worldviews. Bush didn't specify which domestic terror groups he meant, but many listeners assumed that some of those he was referring to were in the Trump supporters, but some of us might think that he was referring to maybe the Antifa folk, which might have been the same, just dressed up in Trump-supporting costumes. And our final headline, a World Bank report released Monday found that climate change could force more than 200 million people to leave their homes over the next 3 decades. I guess we should all start packing. All right. With that, let's go to the chart. Here we have it, the S&P 500 Emini Futures daily chart. We are in the December contract now, so make sure you've rolled forward. This was the all-time historic intraday high, 45.38.5. No, this was the all-time historic intraday high, 45.39.5. The all-time historic closing high came on September 6th at 45.38.5. We dropped to the 24% fib and bounced. We dropped to the 38% fib and bounced. We dropped to the 50% fib 2 days, and we bounced heavily, whatever, on both days. Now, on a daily chart, sometimes it's difficult to see the bounce because we had a real nice bounce earlier today, but sellers have come back and taken us, back almost to that 50% fib. I know I say it every day, but it's so important to remember. You and I, who trade futures intraday, looking to get our daily goal, we tend to use 5-minute charts, 30-minute charts, range charts, okay? Now, we stay aware of the bigger picture by looking at our daily chart, but the institutions, the truly deep pocket traders, they spend their time more focused on daily charts, weekly charts, monthly charts. So whenever you hit a fib retracement on a daily chart, you better believe that the institutions see that. That's why you almost always get a healthy bounce when price hits a fib retracement on the daily chart. The low was put in, the last leg up, the low was put in on August 19th, and then the high was put in on September 3rd. Bounced at the 24, we bounced at the BBC. See from here, again, sometimes hard to see the bounces because they get covered up with the following price action. Then we got below the BBC, this area here that we had outlined as being very important. We hit 38 and bounced. We hit the 50 yesterday. We spiked it just a little bit. Now the low yesterday was 44.34 and a half. 44.34 and a half. And then we bounced all the way up to 44.79.50. That's a big bounce. And now we're back dealing with that 50% fib retracement again, right here, right now, as I speak. Yesterday we drew in this window of opportunity. Okay, we haven't triggered it yet, but once we enter this window of opportunity at about 44.30, we have a weekly zone at 44.32/33. So if we get below that weekly trading zone, then on the daily chart, the 62% fib is at about 44.15. Okay, so from 44.30 to 44.15, that's a nice 15-point move. Now, if that happens, if we come down, fill the window, hit the 62% fib, you should expect another nice bounce. But overhead, we've got red and falling. And so the pressure is to the downside. The path of least resistance is to the downside. If we take out the swing low of yesterday, there's just really nothing to stand in the way of price dropping to the 62. And after the 62 bounce is over, then there's not much standing in the way of us trading down to this low at 43.62. And then the 100% Fibonacci retracement would take us back to 43.39.50. In order for things to go the other way, price would have to overcome the 38% fib retracement, the step line, the daily BBC, the 24% fib retracement, red and falling. So lots of work to do for prices to go higher. And remember, it takes financial commitment for prices to rise. All it takes for price to fall is for buyers, especially institutional buyers, to stop buying. If they come up against an area where no matter what they throw at it, price doesn't move higher, then they just back up, just back away and wait for a better price to enter. If we take out this swing low My suggestion is that the institutional buyers will back off and be waiting down here at the 62, salivating, waiting to buy at that better price, and then ride the bounce as far as it'll go. The 24% fib retracement of the entire move we've seen over the past year, way down here at 39.83/84. Okay, so that's where we stand from the daily perspective. So now we go to the 30-minute chart. All alerts are based on the 30-minute chart. And once you enter a window of opportunity as defined by the alerts in the 30-minute chart, you then use everything you learn in the live training room to take that trade, manage it, and exit. Okay, now these vertical lines, that separates Monday from today, Tuesday. Okay, and these are the numbers that came out last night, shortly after the Globex open. And if you missed getting a screenshot of those, you can. And you'll see here how I drew the line in the sand at 44.74. Drew a line in the sand at 44.47. Okay. When price made it up to 44.74, it triggered and took us up to 79.5. So that's 5.5 points. 5 points at $50 a point is $250 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 2 contracts, then it's $500. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, it's $2,500. Now, once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. Last week we had a number of occasions where we saw triggered the same alert trigger 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Not unusual, happens all the time. On the second trigger, we made it up to $77.25, so that would be 3.25 points. 3 points, $50 a point, $150 per contract traded. So a $250 move, $150 move per contract. And then price got below the BBC. Once price gets below the BBC, we're bearish. We anticipate lower prices. And true to form, we came right down to the trigger. We got rejected the first time down. The second time down, we put in a swing low at 39.25. So let's just, for the sake of math, make it simple. We'll round up to 44.40. So that's a 7-point drop, $50 a point, $350 per contract traded. Price then got back above the trigger and triggered again. On the second trip down, put in a swing low so far at 44.41. So, well, it's 40.25, but we'll call it 41. That's 6 points at $50 a point. It's $300 per contract traded. So, if all you want to trade is the ES, you've had 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities to get your goal for the day, and then some. And we'll go to the Dow. The long trigger was 34,875, and we put in a swing high, modest swing high at 907. So that's 25 and 7. That's 32 points the market made available at $5 a point. That's $150 per contract traded. And we only got the one trigger. This is where we opened last night. As you can see, we ran right up to the weekly trading zone, which we expect to be resistance. When we're moving up and we hit a zone, we expect it to be resistance until proven otherwise. It was good resistance, and it took us right down to the zone below at 665/670. When price drops to a zone, we expect it to be good support until proven otherwise. Resistance, support, resistance, back to support, back to support. It's important to remember, price flows on a 30-minute chart the same way it flows on a monthly chart or a weekly chart or a range chart. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. And so from 875, again, made it up to 907. Okay, nice $150 per contract move. Then as we came down and broke through this weekly trading zone, we triggered and it took us down to, well, this first move down took us to 571, which is about 70 points. $5 a point, $350 per contract traded. It bounced right back up to the CTA, important price, important area, dropped again, and this time it dropped to $520. So that's 120 points at $5 a point. That's over $500 per contract traded. And then price bounced up and hit red and falling, which we expect to be good resistance, and it was, and it's taken us even lower, and we're at an area where we would expect to find potential support like we did here, here, and here. Now, if we can get through this area, we got a nice, big, wide, beautiful window of opportunity down to the next weekly trading zone where we would again expect to find good support. And on the slingshot, I mean, this thing's buried, right? Now, I don't use the slingshot on the 30-minute chart to determine the alert prices, but I do keep my eye on it, okay? It's not a deciding factor, but right now, if price were to drop through this area and enter the window, with this buried the way it is, that might be a situation where one would consider trading, you know, maybe larger size. If your standard trading size is 5 contracts, I mean, this looks good enough that you might, you know, might trade a couple extra contracts if you've earned the right to. Never trade more than you've earned the right to. Now, what does that mean? When you become a passport holder, a lifetime CFRN member, we're going to teach you our proprietary methodology and strategy. And the way you're going to learn that methodology and strategy is by coming to class and trading in your simulator as you learn. Once you put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less, our 24/20 blueprint will then give you the green light to go live with one contract. Once you're trading real money, then your goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you've increased your account balance by $2,000, the blueprint will then give you the green light. Hold on one second, Garrett just texted me. He's going to be on the show tomorrow. Okay. Once you've increased your account balance by $2,000, then the blueprint gives you the green light to add a second contract. The beautiful thing about the second contract is you're adding it with profit you earned in the market. Now, the first contract you go live with, That's funded by your startup capital. But going forward, contract number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, you only add one at a time when the blueprint says it's time, and you only add with profit you earned in the market. Following that blueprint makes it difficult to blow up another account. It's not impossible, okay? But really, you do have to break a lot of rules in order to blow up an account. And we're entering that window of opportunity. We'll come back and take a look at it in a bit. On the Russell, short CTA was 22.29. And again, this vertical line separates Monday from Tuesday. So the long side, 22.46. Okay. Let's tighten this up. There we go. Okay. Now, we triggered on the long side at 46, and we put in a swing high at 53.2. So from 46 to 53, that's 7 points at $50 a point. That's $350 per contract traded. And then a second little pop from 46 up to 48.5. So second trigger, 2.5 points. On the short side, we triggered here. And of course, we ran, well, of course, the target, as always, on any alert, logic or concierge, the final trade to target is the weekly trading zone below on a short, the weekly trading zone above on a long. So on the long side, while we didn't make it to the final target, we certainly had a very healthy, profitable trade opportunity and a second one. Okay. Down here, we actually made it all the way to the target. There's the published entry price, the published target price. And these markets, get ready, guys. We may be, let me check and see what I've got in the hopper here on the Russell. Russell 22.14 to 22.12. Okay, the last alert I put out on the Russell. Okay, that just did its job right there. So let's you and I and that alert we put together on the channel yesterday live during the show, it did its thing. So RTYZ21. Oh, and I'm banging these keys. Gosh, I gotta get that keyboard. So I want to get below this low. In fact, okay. I want to sell 2207. Initial target 2205. If your goal is 2 points a day, $100 per contract. If price moves from 2207 to 2205, you have it. That's $50 a point on the Russell. And then we've got potential support at 2204. That's what I was just scrolling back to look at. And then we've got the weekly trading zone at 2194/2195. Okay, so I've got it in that channel. Let me drop it in the trial channel. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we got a new alert. Just put in the channel. For the Russell, we want to be short 2207. Initial target 2205. Second target 2204. Third and final target 2194/95. If we make it all the way to the final target, that's 12 points at $50 a point. That would be $600 per contract traded. Okay, so last night the CTA was 2246 and we ran up to 53. We covered that. And then from 2229 we traded the zone down here. The WTZ is 2211/12. So that's 17 points at $50 a point. That's $850 per contract traded. These two candles right here, $850 per contract traded from the published entry to the published target. Now, when price drops to a weekly zone, we expect it to be good support until proven otherwise. So it was good support, bounced us up to red and falling, which we expect to be good resistance until proven otherwise. It was the good resistance we thought it would be, and that sent us back down once again to the weekly trading zone. Okay. All right. And we just put an alert in the channel. For this nice window of opportunity we have down here. Now, it's possible that this weekly zone will hold as support, like it did here, like it did here. This alert that we just put in the channel, this is if in fact the support doesn't hold. Okay, now remember, I know we're talking about the Russell, okay, but the S&P is the lead dog here, and so we watch it very closely, and you see we're coming through that 50% fib retracement. Big deal. We haven't taken out yesterday's low yet. Yesterday's low was, I can get a read, 44.34.5. We're trading 36 right now. So we take out yesterday's low, we entered this window of opportunity, and then we expect support at the 62% fib. Now sometimes buyers will come in early, okay, because the price is dropping, they don't want to get left behind. So as we're approaching the 62, some buyers may go ahead and purchase their ticket. We don't. We want to wait. We want to see that price on our smaller time frame actually is participating in a bounce. My first guru taught us to just park an order and go get breakfast, or go do whatever, and then come back later and see if you won. I don't like that term, winning and losing. It sounds like Vegas. That's gambling. We don't gamble. If anyone wants to relate what we do to gambling, then you would have to see us as the house, because based upon our methodology, our strategy, our indicators, the underlying principles, we're the house. The odds are in our favor. See, in Vegas, they make it fun to come there, but what you win in Vegas, as you know, stays in Vegas for the most part. Why? Because the casinos created rules that give the house the better odds. And as a trader, you have to learn to write a business plan and a trading plan that gives you the better odds. Because this is a business based on probability. The moment you try to make it anything more than a probability, hang up the mouse, call it a day. gotta write that on the tablet of your heart. This is a business based on probabilities. Now, when I showed you the logic recap just a few moments ago, which I have right here. Okay. So far this week, 23% would have been stopped out based on our risk profile. Okay. What we've averaged over the last 163 weeks is 20% out of 8,300 and something alerts. 20% on average do get stopped out. How's that even possible? Because we've built a strategy that puts the probability in our favor. We become the house. Okay? So, let's go back to the Russell. See, we hit a zone, we get a nice bounce. But remember, there's something much larger at work in the background. The indices, got the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ. The S&P is Big Daddy, okay? Now, the other indices don't necessarily follow the S&P in lockstep. However, they all look to the S&P for guidance, and if the S&P is rising in most occasions, the other indices will be following suit. Over the last couple months, we've seen some division in that historical reasoning or theory because we are at all-time historic highs, and when you're at all-time historic highs, odd things do happen occasionally. Okay, so keep an eye on this. Okay, this bounce, I mean, it's a nice bounce, but we would never put this out as an alert. In other words, we would never put out an alert that says buy 22.13 with a target at 22.15, because that would be counter trend for us. Every one of the 8,300 and whatever alerts in the channel over the last 163 weeks are all trend trades as defined by the 30-minute chart and the BBC. If price is below the BBC, you're only going to see short alerts. If price is above the BBC, this green line, bull, bear, cross, if price is above it, you're only going to see long alerts. Okay. Now, there's nothing illegal, immoral, or fattening about a counter trend trade. We just believe that the trend trade has a higher probability and lower risk. And that's what we want to train our traders with. That's what we want to teach you, so that hopefully you can have a successful and highly profitable career as a trader. All right, we've covered the Russell. Let's do the NQ, the other index. And of course you go, how is it the price just runs right up to that trigger and then turns around and goes the other way? I assure you it's not magic. It's math. That's all it is. Okay, so we trigger at 487 and we run up to the target at 508. So 88, that's 20 points, $20 a point, $400 per contract traded on the short side, which is 15,404. This first drop took us to 91 and a quarter. So got about 12 points, $20 a point, $240 per contract traded. And then this drop took us to 95 and a quarter. So that's 9 points, $20 a point, $180 per contract traded. And then on this one, from 404, we dropped to 86 and a quarter. So that would be 14 and 4, that would be 18 points at $20 a point, $360 per contract traded. And then about the same on this one. So we had 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 tradable moves off of one alert. Okay? And we're just looking at the CTAs. You've got the logic alerts working in the background. The logic alerts will often walk you right up to the CTA number, or give you some guidance once you've passed through the CTA number. All right, crude oil. The long CTA, 7105. Obviously the short side has never triggered. 7105, and we put in a swing high here at 7114. That's $90 per contract traded. And then we put in a swing high here, 7112. That's $70 per contract traded. And then a swing high here at 7122. That's $170 per contract traded. Now price has gotten below the VVC. Now look at this beautiful bounce we had here. Price came right down. Now remember, these weekly zones, once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. Once they're published, they don't change. These went out to all of our members yesterday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zones since December 14th of 2009, over a decade. Price came right down to the zone, which we expect to be support when price drops. And when price finds support that it can't overcome, it turns around and goes and looks for resistance, and it found it at the weekly trading zone. The swing high was 7122. The actual zone is 25/30. Zones are an area just like fibs are an area. Now, this low is tied into those lows. Okay, support, support, and so far support. If price can get through this support area, if price can get below that swing low, then we have a window of opportunity okay, so we want to get below this low, so we'll call it 69.80, so that we're well below it. 69.80, right down to 69.65. So that's $150 per contract traded. And then once we trigger, then of course we have this window all the way down to the zone. Price is sitting on support. That obstacle has to be overcome. Let me take a look in the channel, see what I've got in the way of, what we have in the way of. Crude. Okay, I don't think we have anything currently hanging out on crude, so let's do this. Alert number 8363. And I'll try to type gently. GCLV 21. Want to consider being short. 69.80. The initial target 69.70, that's $100 per contract traded. Potential support at 69.65, and then the final trade to target 69.10 slash 69.15. So that's what it looks like. Crude oil, consider being short at 69.80. Initial target 69.70. If your goal is 2 points a day, $100 per contract traded. This is 10 ticks, $10 a tick, but it's still $100 per contract. And then because price behaves at a CTA very similar to the way it does at a weekly trading zone. In fact, you can think of the CTA as like a daily trading zone. Okay, so potential support at 69.65. But if we cruise right through it, which is what we hope happens if we're short, then down to the weekly zone at 69.10 slash 69.15. So that's 600 and, let's see, 20, let's see, $650 per contract traded. Now, before that can happen though, price has to overcome this support area, which it couldn't do here, it couldn't do here, it couldn't do here. So far it hasn't done it here. Okay? But if it gives way, lovely opportunity. As far as getting long, we would have to overcome the zone, the step line, red and falling, the BBC, before we could even start to think about putting on a long trade, if you're using the 30-minute chart to give you bias. Okay. All right. So 71.05 was the long side on crude, and we made it up to, come on, chart, talk to me. 71.14, 9 points, $90. Okay, we've already done these. Yeah, we've already done those. Okay, gold. No trigger on the long side yet. We've come. Long side was 18.11. The swing high was 18.10.60. So we haven't triggered on the long side yet, but the market is positioned for a move higher. Price is always trying to get to a zone. If price is above the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone overhead. If it's below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. Isn't it nice to know what the market's trying to do? With a margin of error of 20% based on all the weeks and the 8,000 plus alerts. That's what our traders are blessed, because they have that kind of information and those kinds of tools to work with each and every day. Now, we did trigger on the short side. Let's tighten this up. There we go. Okay. So we triggered 17.910. I'm sorry, 17.91. And we dropped to 89.1. So it's $190 per contract traded. And then we got back above the trigger, all in the same candle. Triggered again, and on the second trigger, we went all the way to the zone, which is 1784 slash 1785. So from 85 to 91, that's $600 per contract traded. Two nice triggers, one alert. Now, we'll see what happens. See, now the dynamic has changed a little in that you see over here how price is climbing the back of blue and climbing. It's just walking up the little steps of the step line. That's what you want on a long trade. However, when this step line on a long trade goes from the left side, you see how the step line is on the left side of blue and climbing right now, or it was. That's what you want. When the step line crosses to the right side of blue and climbing, that's a heads up. This move is running out of steam. Price has stopped rising and started to walk sideways. The step line has gone from the left side to the right side. The first red candle that closes, these are 30-minute candles, the first red candle that closes below the step line, that's the official exit signal price. Now we're only 2 minutes into the life of this candle. If price were to take out the low of this candle, could you just go ahead and say, you know what, I'm out? Sure, absolutely. However, with 27 minutes left in the life of this candle, it could be that we don't take out the low. In fact, buyers could come in and continue to push us higher. Now, blue and climbing, when it's like this, price, then the step line, then blue and climbing, that's very bullish, okay? However, with the sideways walk, once blue and climbing gets directly above the candle, now it has the potential to actually become resistance if price gets up there. Now, that's true on all markets, that's true on all time frames. Everything we teach is fluid across all markets and all time frames. Now, some people say, well, I'm just an S&P trader, or I only want to trade crude, or I only want to trade gold. That's fine. There's no problem with that. You're welcome to do that. But what most of our students learn over time is that what I just said, everything we teach is fluid across all markets and all time frames. So let's say you only want to trade the S&P, but the S&P isn't giving you a setup right now. But the Dow, the Russell, the NQ, crude, gold, any of them, all of them could be giving you the absolute perfect textbook setup. You're only going to watch that pass you by so many times before you're going to dip your toe in the water, maybe in your simulator, and you're going to find that what I've said is true, that everything's fluid across all markets and all time frames. If the setup is there on the Dow or the S&P or crude or gold, the underlying principles are going to work the same, okay? So if you just want to be an S&P trader, that's fine. We'll never pressure you to trade other markets. That wouldn't benefit us in any way. But you should be watching the other markets, because if you only want to trade the S&P, your trading day might take longer than you have. Maybe, let's say you have a day job and you only have 2 hours a day, okay, for the purpose of trading. Now, some days the S&P, if that's what you want to trade, some days the S&P may give you a setup in your 2 hours. Maybe it doesn't. Wouldn't it be nice to know that you have all these other markets you could just scan through, find the one that is giving you the setup, trade that, get your goal for the day, and be done? It's possible. People do it all the time. Okay. What do we have left? Let's see. On the short side of gold, we already covered that. We have the potential for either an exit signal on gold, or buyers could come in, take us up, trigger on the long side. So the only market we have left is silver. which triggered on both sides. So we had two-sided action. 2 pennies, $100, $23.83 to $23.84.5. That's 1.5 pennies on that trigger. The next trigger gave you 2.5 pennies, and then the next trigger gave you 2 pennies, and then the next trigger gave you 5 pennies, and that was the last trigger. These didn't pull back quite enough. On the short side, we triggered and just ran straight to the target from 23.65 to 23.60/61, so 4 pennies, $200 per contract traded, but it kept going. Okay, and that takes us around the world and back to the daily chart, where we're bouncing off the top of that window we drew yesterday. Still, buyers and sellers are duking it out here at the 50% fib retracement. Sellers have the ball. They're trying to take it down the field. Will buyers step in, prove that they're more committed, and reverse this action? Or will we enter the window down to the 62? Now remember, at the 62, we expect a great bounce. If we do not get a nice bounce at the 62, like right away, then look out below, because you got a nice big window of opportunity down here from, roughly, we'll make the math simple, 4,400 to 4,370. That's 30 points at $50 a point. That's $1,500 per contract traded. Hang on for me 1 second. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? I think we could have an exciting afternoon, an evening, an overnight session. As futures traders, it doesn't bother us one bit if we're rising or falling. With equities, it's a little more tricky on the short side, okay? But with futures, you can be fluid, right? Based on the time frame you're executing on. You can be long and short and long again in the course of an hour, if that's what the price action in front of you is telling you to do. Let's go to our good word for the day. Yesterday, we started out talking about the importance of building one another up. We read from Ephesians 4:29, let everything you say be good and helpful. Friends, that is the environment you find at CFRN. When you log into our discussion group on Telegram, people are going to welcome you. They're going to say, how you doing? They're going to be friendly. They're going to be helpful. They'll champion you when you have a strong day. They'll console you when you have a rough day. It's a fine group of people that God has assembled, and I truly believe it's by His hand that every person who's a member of CFRN is there by direct appointment. It's no accident. It's no coincidence. You're here for a reason, and we're so glad that you are. We have become, as a group, a force to be reckoned with. And the really beautiful thing about all the CFRN members, I don't know of a single one who's doing it just so they can get a faster car, a bigger house, implants for the wife, or cigars from Cuba. Now, they're all doing it for the money, okay? Don't be fooled. We're in it for the money. However, our members have a heart for God and the things of God. So what you'll hear our members talking about is orphanages, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, housing the homeless, preaching the gospel, doing good works. It's such a positive environment. You will be inspired, and we have a discussion group that is open to the public. Maybe you don't have the money right now to become a member. You really want to, but finances don't permit it at the moment. If you fall into that category, you should talk to Valerie about any options that could be available. But we keep that discussion group open to the public so that anyone who needs to be encouraged, who, your trading's a lonely business. It really is. Sit in an office all day by yourself, staring at these screens. And I'm going to tell you, it's not good to isolate yourself from the world. Okay? I made a decision 2008, I guess, 2009, to do that very thing, to isolate myself. I had sold the company that my wife and I had at the time, and I thought it would be nice to just, have my own little office and work from there. And because for over 13 years, I had had a very intense environment that I worked in. People in my face all day long, a million questions, decisions to be made. It seemed like a nice vacation. And you know what? For the first couple of years, it was nice. If I needed to talk to a human, I could just, right up the street from me is a Starbucks. I could go hang out. I knew all the people that worked there, could shoot the breeze, that kind of thing. But over time, it kind of took a toll on me. So if you are approaching the area in your life, in your journey up Trader Mountain, where you might be ready to trade full-time or open your own office, why don't you try to find yourself a trading buddy? Somebody that you can open up an office with. You can hold each other accountable. You can argue over who's got the best football team. Whatever. It's just, God created us to be tribal animals, not to be loners. Now, with that said, it's often good to take time to be alone. Jesus did it often. And the disciples and the people, they just wore him out. And so he would go away from the masses, from the turmoil, spend time on, somewhere just praying, spending time with his Heavenly Father. And of course, in those peaceful moments, that's where the enemy showed up, trying to tempt him and test him and get him to do the wrong thing. So you got to guard against that as well. And so I don't know who that's for, but it just came up in my spirit. So there it is. If you're at that point in your life where you're thinking about opening an office, try to find you a trading buddy. Okay? Now, if you're trading in size, right? Okay, if you're trading in size and you can afford it because you have the cash flow, you can hire. I know that sounds crazy that you're going to hire somebody to be your work buddy, but there's probably things in your life that your assistant, call them an assistant, and maybe while they're being your assistant, you teach them to watch certain charts. Maybe their job is to stare at the hourly chart or the 30-minute chart and notify you when certain things happen. Who knows, But there's probably somebody in your life under your sphere of influence that needs work, would maybe like to learn. Okay, now don't put the cart before the horse, because that's always awkward for the cart and the horse. Make sure you've got your game together, right? Make sure you know what you're doing before you step too far out. hiring people and opening, let God guide you, okay, and count the cost. That's biblical. So what happens here on my screen is very important, and building others up. I'm going to pick up where we left off yesterday. Our scripture today is Romans 15:2, which says, we should help others do what is right and build them up in the Lord. And that's what we try to do in life and in trading with CFRN. Billy Graham once said, the highest form of worship is the worship of unselfish Christian service. The greatest form of praise is the sound of consecrated feet seeking out the lost and the helpless. Are others naturally attracted to you? Are you well liked? If not, it may be because of a number of things. The first one, pride. Nobody wants to follow someone who thinks they're better than everyone else. They really don't. Insecurity, number 2. If you are uncomfortable with who you are, others will be too. Number 3, moodiness. When people never know what to expect from you, they stop expecting anything. Perfectionism. Others respect the desire for excellence, but dread unrealistic expectations. Now, speaking of unrealistic expectations, make sure that the expectations you have for yourself in the world of trading are realistic. If your goal is 20 points a day out of the S&P, I would say go revisit your expectation. You can make just as much money with 2 points as you can with 20 points. The only difference is in the number of contracts that you trade. It's just important that you increase the number of contracts in a proper manner, one at a time, always increasing size with profit you earned in the market. Okay, it's a realistic expectation that you can take 2 points a day out of the market. All right, 20, maybe not so much. It's a process. Welcome to the process. So, the question I asked, are others naturally attracted to you? Are you well liked? If not, it may be because of, we covered pride, insecurity, moodiness, perfectionism, and now cynicism. People don't want to be rained on by someone who sees a cloud around every silver lining. Be filled with hope. See the positive. My grandmother was the greatest at this. Doesn't matter who it was, the town scoundrel. My grandmother could find some good in that person, and she would tell them about that good that she saw in them. She would edify them and build them up. And she had an opportunity to meet a lot of town scoundrels because my grandfather was the sheriff in the little town in Georgia where I grew up. And it was a small town, so we didn't have a lot of prisoners. But when we did have somebody in the clink, my grandmother hand-cooked their meals and delivered them to the jail. What an incredible opportunity God gave her to minister to those who were going through perhaps one of the most challenging times in their life. I don't think I've ever told that publicly before, but it's a true story. Okay, so if you have problems with pride, insecurity, moodiness, perfectionism, cynicism, what are you going to do? It sounds like you're a mess, right? So how do you build people up? Number one, change your focus. In trading, if you're looking at the range chart and it makes no sense, go look at a 30-minute chart. You'll get clarity. That's just one example. I'm using trading as an example, but change your focus. If you're self-centered, you can't strengthen and encourage others. So observe your interaction with people during the next few days. As you talk to them, notice how much of your conversation is about you. Then determine, make it a point to tip the balance in favor of focusing on others. People would much rather hear you talk about them than about yourself. It's just human nature. Just as we're tempted to talk more about ourselves than about others. So one's a good thing, one's not. Overcome it. And another way that you can build people up is try to make a good first impression. The next time you meet someone, learn their name, focus on their interest, listen to them without interrupting, and be encouraging. If you can do this for one day, you can do it every day. The Bible says we should help others do what is right and build them up in the Lord. Now, I don't know about you, but how many times do you meet a new person? Maybe you're at some kind of social event or party or business meeting, and you're introduced to someone, and 2 minutes later, you have no clue what their name is. We're so focused on the meeting part that we're not here now. And that's something we should all practice more, is being here now. Most of the time, our mind is either dwelling on something that's happened in the past that we have no power to change, or it's out in front of us worrying about some event that may never even come to pass. And so by allowing our mind to be in the past and in the future, we miss the right here, the right now. That's why every day when I open this show, I say, whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. The next time you hear me say that, I want that to be a cue or a key for you to focus your attention on the right here and the right now, and then learn to apply that in the rest of your life, in your everyday circumstances. How many times has your wife accused you of not listening? I mean, let's face it, you know she was droning on about something, right? But then she asks you a question and you're just stupefied. You don't know how to answer. So you come up with a lot of generic ways to answer the question, which makes it seem like you. But if you've been living with somebody for almost 40 years like I have, you can't blow, you're not going to fool them, right? So start paying attention. When you're in conversation with someone, whether it's in person or even on the phone, stay focused on the here and now, okay? If you give that person your undivided attention, they'll develop a great sense of respect for you because you hear them. And that's a good word for the day. Now, if I've made it sound like we're just one big old happy family over here at CFRN, good, because we are. And we're blessed. And we invite you to become a part of our family. At this address, eminifuturestrading.com, you can purchase your own lifetime passport. Lifetime means to the end of your life or our life, whichever comes first, it's lifetime. Okay? There's no renewal fees, not annual, weekly, monthly, and it includes everything that we do, everything we've ever done, and some of the very exciting things we're about to do. Okay? All inclusive. It's $5,000. To be exact, it's $49.97. Okay? But you never have to buy another trading thing again, because we provide you with everything a trader needs at one low price. You have live training every day for 2 hours with an instructor, a live instructor, not watching a video, not reading a book. Got nothing against those. Those are good tools, but they're no replacement for a live teacher who's putting on, taking off trades and answering every one of your questions. What did you say? Why did you say that? What does that mean? Now what should I do? What did you just do? And it just flows and it flows and it flows. 2 hours a day of live instructor training. Then these 2 hours in the afternoon where we actually recap everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. On top of that, you have access to unlimited one-on-one mentoring at no additional charge. If you need help, if you've got questions that you were unable to get answered in the morning, in the afternoon, or the Thursday night members-only workshops, then you book a one-on-one session. Now that includes the methodology, the indicators, the around-the-clock alerts, the Logic 247 and the Concierge trade alerts, and so much more. Everything we do, everything we've ever done, and some of the exciting stuff we're getting ready to do. But once you purchase a passport, you'll never spend another dime with us. That's it. And of course, you're welcome to go right now and talk with some of our traders in the discussion group. Real people, ask them about their experience. If CFRN has made a difference in their life, if our style of trading has helped them, they'll give you an honest answer. 949-42-EMINI, that's our phone number. Email is support@cfrn.net. You can just go right here, right now, and get your passport. But if you have questions, call Valerie, 949-42-EMINI, or send her an email, support@cfrn.net. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.